The glass walls of Silverline Corporation gleamed like mirrors under the morning sun, reflecting a world that seemed far removed from people like him. Armand stood quietly in the corner of the executive floor, his mop bucket beside him, the faint scent of disinfectant clinging to his worn uniform. The polished shoes that passed him by never noticed his tired eyes or the trembling in his hands. To them, he was invisible, just another janitor in a building of perfection. But inside that invisibility lay a story of love, loss, and desperation that would soon collide with one powerful woman's world in a way no one could have imagined. Before we dive deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen struggles, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Your small act of support helps more people see stories that remind us what truly matters in life. It had been 3 years since Armand's life fell apart. Once a construction engineer, he had lost his job after the company he worked for went bankrupt. Within months, his wife succumbed to cancer, leaving him alone to raise his 6-year-old daughter, Miriam. With hospital bills piling up and no one to turn to, he took the only job he could find, a janitor at Silverline Corporation. Every night, he came home with sore hands and an aching back, but he never complained. Miriam was the only thing that kept him going. Her tiny drawings on the refrigerator, her innocent laughter, and the way she would wrap her arms around him every morning whispering, "You're my hero, Papa," were all that mattered, but fate had a cruel sense of timing. Miriam had been diagnosed with a congenital heart defect, one that required surgery Armand could never afford. Every spare coin he had went into a small tin box hidden behind their kitchen stove. Each time he dropped a few notes inside, he whispered a prayer. He promised his little girl that one day she would run and play without gasping for breath. One day, he'd make things right. That morning, he had been assigned to clean the top floor, the CEO's private office. It was a place of power and intimidation, where everything gleamed like success. Armand entered quietly, his eyes scanning the glass desk, the large windows overlooking the city, and the sleek silver laptop that sat open in the center. The screen glowed with a soft light, filled with charts and numbers he couldn't understand. He moved carefully, wiping the corners of the table, humming under his breath, trying to get through another long shift. But then his phone buzzed. It was from the hospital. Miriam's condition had worsened. She was being moved into the intensive care unit, and the doctors needed a decision about her surgery immediately. His hands shook as he listened. The doctor said there was hope, but the surgery cost was beyond anything Armand could imagine. Tears welled in his eyes. He turned toward the window, struggling to breathe, his heart pounding as he thought of his little girl lying there, pale and fragile, asking when he would come. In that moment of panic, he didn't notice his elbow brushing against the mop handle. The metal bucket tilted, and in a horrifying instant, the water spilled across the table, soaking the laptop. A sharp hiss of electricity filled the air, followed by the faint pop of a short circuit. Armand froze, his world collapsed in seconds. That laptop, the CEO's, was now drenched, lifeless, and smoking. He tried desperately to wipe it dry with his sleeve, but the damage was done. He knew what this meant. He could be fired, maybe even forced to pay for it. His heart sank as footsteps echoed behind him. The CEO, Sarah Malik, stood in the doorway, her sharp eyes narrowing as she took in the scene. Dressed in a crisp white suit, she looked every bit the embodiment of authority, confident, composed, and terrifyingly calm. For a long moment, neither spoke. The air was thick with tension, the sound of dripping water the only noise between them. Armand stammered, trying to explain. His words came out broken, tangled with apologies. He spoke of an accident, of how he didn't mean for it to happen. But Sarah's expression hardened. That laptop contained confidential data worth millions. She didn't shout, she didn't need to. The coldness in her voice cut deeper than any scream. She told him to leave the office immediately, that HR would contact him about his termination. Armand felt the ground slip away beneath him. He bowed his head, murmured a soft apology again, and left. His eyes burned, not from anger, but from helplessness. Later that afternoon, as Sarah sat at her desk reviewing reports on a replacement laptop, one of the IT technicians entered holding the soaked device wrapped in a plastic bag. He said he might be able to retrieve some data. When he powered it on, a single folder appeared on the desktop, not a company document, But something personal, saved on the CEO's system accidentally due to a recent file transfer from a shared network. Curious, Sarah clicked on it, the screen opened to a video file, and then, the room fell silent. It was a short clip of a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, sitting on a hospital bed. Her hair was thin, her skin pale, but her eyes sparkled with innocent joy. She was holding a piece of cardboard with colorful drawings on it. The sign read, "For my papa, the best janitor in the world." Her voice, soft but full of warmth, filled the office. She was talking about how her father worked very hard to make her smile. How he promised her that one day she would dance again, and how she prayed for him every night. "Papa says being kind makes you rich here," she said, touching her heart. "Even if you don't have money." Sarah felt her throat tighten. The technician stood awkwardly for a moment, not sure what to say, then quietly left the room. Sarah sat still, staring at the paused frame of the little girl's smile. For the first time in years, the CEO felt something shift inside her. She had built her empire on discipline and control, never letting emotions cloud her judgment. But now, staring at that innocent face, she felt the weight of her own coldness pressing down. She searched the employee records and found Armand's file. His background, the long list of rejected job applications, the notes about unpaid medical leaves, everything painted a picture she could no longer ignore. Without hesitating, she called HR and told them to stop the termination process. Then she took her coat and left for the hospital address listed in his emergency contacts. When Sarah arrived at the small, crowded hospital, she found Armand sitting outside the ICU, his face buried in his hands. His shoulders trembled with quiet sobs. She approached slowly, her heels clicking softly against the floor. When he looked up and saw her, his eyes widened in disbelief. She sat beside him without a word, then handed him an envelope. Inside was a check enough to cover his daughter's surgery and more. Armand stared at it, his lips trembling, unable to form words. Sarah spoke gently, her tone stripped of all corporate sharpness. She told him she saw the video, that she understood now. She apologized for her harshness, for not seeing the man behind the uniform. "You didn't just spill water," she said quietly. "You showed me what humanity looks like." Tears streamed down Armand's face as he clasped the envelope to his chest. All he could manage to say was thank you. Weeks later, little Miriam's surgery was a success. When she finally returned home, she could walk and play without losing her breath. One afternoon, she sat at the window drawing another picture, this time of her father standing next to a smiling woman in a white suit. "Papa," she said, "is that the nice lady who helped us?" Armand nodded, smiling through tears. "Yes, sweetheart. That's her." Sarah didn't stop there. She promoted Armand to facility supervisor, ensuring he had a stable income and benefits for his daughter. And every year after that, she sent a small gift to Miriam on her birthday, always with the same handwritten note, "For the girl who reminded me that kindness is the real power." In the heart of that towering glass building, a janitor's accident had changed more than a laptop. It had changed a life, healed a child, and softened a heart that had forgotten how to feel.